Hello everyone and welcome back to Jimmy Talks. If you're new to the channel, I like to cover 3 topics here, and those topics are current events, the truth and matters with a critical thinking approach, and preparedness. Today is a current events video. Today we're diving into a topic that frustrates me deeply: consume culture. First, let's define consume culture. The term, derived from the word consume, refers to an obsession with buying and accumulating material goods, often beyond one's needs or means. It's not just shopping, it's a mindset that equates happiness, status, and success with possessions. Think of people lining up for the latest smartphone, maxing out their credit cards for designer clothes, or leasing luxury cars to project wealth that they don't have. This isn't about enjoying nice things either. It's about a compulsive need to keep up in a society that glorifies consumption. My issue isn't with people buying what they love, it's with a culture that pressures us to buy what we don't need, can't afford, and often don't even own in the end. That is the big difference here. To understand this phenomena more clearly, let's start with the historical origins of consumerist culture. To understand how we got there, we need to go back to the early 20th century. The Industrial Revolution, which began in the late 18th century, transformed economies by enabling mass production. By the 1900s, factories could churn out goods like clothing, appliances, and cars at unprecedented scale and speed. This was a game changer, but it created a new problem. Supply outpaced demand. Businesses needed people to buy more, not just to meet basic needs, but as a lifestyle. Enter the rise of modern advertising. In the 1920s, pioneers like Edward Bernays, the nephew of Sigmund Freud, applied psychological principles to marketing. Bernays didn't just sell products. He sold desires, convincing people that buying certain goods would fulfill emotional needs like status, love, and belonging. For example, his campaigns linked smoking to women's empowerment, turning cigarettes into a symbol of freedom. This marked a shift. Consumption became less about utility and more about identity. The post-World War II economic boom supercharged this trend. In the 1950s, America's economy exploded, with rising wages and suburban growth. Think of a house in the suburbs with a car in the driveway, a stay-at-home mom, and white picket fences. Companies like General Motors and Sears capitalized on this, pushing products like cars and appliances as symbols of the American dream. Planned obsolescence also became a strategy here. Products were designed to break or become outdated rather quickly, forcing consumers to buy replacements. This still goes on today, but not as massive as a scale as it did in the 1950s, with companies like Apple purposely making iPhones run slower and slower as time went on with updates. To add on to planned obsolescence, the introduction of credit cards in the 1950s is really another way that consumerism got really bad. Starting with the Diners Club card, it made spending easier. By the 1960s, the Bank AmeriCard, which later turned into Visa, and MasterCard spread widely, allowing people to buy now and pay later. This wasn't inherently bad on its own, but it laid the groundwork for a culture of debt. The 1980s and the 1990s took consumerist culture to new heights. Deregulation under President Reagan boosted corporate power, and maximum profits for shareholders was king of the castle. Mass media like MTV glamorized wealth and excessive spending. Shows like Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous and MTV Cribs in the 2000s and the rise of celebrity culture made luxury seem attainable. Meanwhile, globalization lowered production costs of regular items like consumer electronics and clothing, which flooded the markets with cheap goods. Retail chains like Walmart and brands like Nike became household names, encouraging constant purchases. The internet, especially after 2000, accelerated this with online shopping and social media. You can also find advertisements to purchase stuff in apps on the App Store and the Google Play Store. Platforms like Instagram and TikTok turned consumption into performance, with non-stop advertisements where people showcase purchases to signal success. This brings me to the second major point: how consumerist culture pushes people into debt for the sake of appearances, or what some call fake flexing. Today, the pressure to look successful often outweighs the desire to be financially secure. Social media amplifies this by creating a constant comparison game. When you see influencers flaunting designer bags or friends posting about new cars, it's easy to feel inadequate. But what's the result here? People spend beyond their means to project an image of wealth so that they can appear as if they're keeping up with everybody else. Think of how many people pull out the credit card for the next big shoe drop, or the next big video game. In my case, I've known guys who's dropped thousands of dollars on gun stuff and ammo, then they barely use it, but they're in debt because of it with a 20% interest rate on the credit card. It's quite ridiculous. Consider these statistics real quick. In 2023, the average American household carried $6,000 in credit card debt, according to the Federal Reserve. Total consumer debt, including mortgages, student loans, and auto loans, exceeded $17 trillion. A 2022 survey by LendingTree found that 35% of Americans took on debt to buy non-essential items, like vacations or luxury goods, often to keep up with others. This isn't just poor budgeting. What it is it's a cultural trap. Advertisements bombard us daily, with companies spending $250 billion annually on US ads alone. They push the idea that buying the latest gadget or outfit will make you happier, cooler, or more respected. It's not just commercials on TV anymore, newspaper ads, or billboards. It's now on every single social media platform. It's on apps, it's on your phone, it's on YouTube, it's anywhere and everywhere. Someone is always trying to sell you something. Anyways, back to my point on debt just to look cool. Fake flexing is especially evident in big ticket purchases like cars and homes, which is crazy when you think about it, given how big of a commitment that these purchases are with how expensive and long the payment plan is. Many people lease vehicles or take out long-term auto loans, sometimes 7 years or more, to drive something flashy instead. In 2023, the average car loan interest rate was around 7% for new cars, but subprime borrowers, meaning people with bad or little to no credit history, paid up to 15%, and they're still a quite sizable part of the population. 15% interest rate, though, is insane. These loans mean that they're paying thousands extra over time, often for a car that depreciates the moment you drive it off the lot. Cars are not investments unless it's a rare car or something that simply isn't driven at all so it maintains value. Cars are a way to earn more income, pure and simple, and I'd like to undo that preconceived notion that a car is an investment. Similarly though, with housing, the housing market encourages over-leveraging, meaning you borrow a little bit too much money. Mortgages with low down payments sound appealing, but they come with high interest and private mortgage insurance, stretching finances thin, when most Americans are already broke and living paycheck to paycheck. The 2008 financial crisis showed what happens when people buy homes that they can't afford, yet the lesson seems forgotten. The worst part, much of the spending is for show. A 2022 study by the LendingTree found that 40% of Americans admitted to buying items primarily to impress others. Designer clothes, oversized TVs, the newest iPhone, the newest $80 game, the player pack for an online sports game like 2K and NHL for online. People spend to signal status, not because these things add meaningful value to their lives. But the cost is real. High interest credit card debt with rates averaging 20% in 2023 compounds extremely quickly. A $1,000 purchase can balloon up to $1,600 or more if you only pay the minimum. This cycle of debt for appearances keeps people trapped, working harder to pay for things that don't truly enrich their lives. Now go max out your credit card for Funko Pops and Soylent. Now let's move on to the third point. In consumerist culture, most people don't actually own anything. This is where the system reveals its true cost. When you buy something with a loan or credit, you don't own it. Not yet anyways. The lender does until you pay it off. Miss a payment and your car gets repossessed, your home foreclosed, or your wages garnished. Even rent-to-own schemes for furniture or electronics exploit this, charging exorbitant fees that can double the item's cost. That's how they make money. Take housing, the biggest purchase for most people. In 2023, 75% of US homeowners had a mortgage, meaning they don't fully own their homes. If you're paying a 30-year mortgage at 6% interest, a $300,000 home could cost you $600,000 by the end. You're essentially renting from the bank, with the added risk of losing everything if you default. Cars are similar. 80% of new car buyers in 2023 financed their purchase, often with loans that outlast the vehicle's warranty. Even basic cars cost more than half of the average person's salary nowadays. Compare that to the 1960s when it was much easier to buy a car and pay it off relatively quickly. Same thing with houses. Even smaller items like phones or laptops bought on installment plans tie you to payments that erode your financial freedom. Don't forget about financing burritos and Chipotle bowls either. Thank you to Klarna. Just another 3 weeks and you can pay off your $20 burrito bowl for $60 instead. Then there's the subscription economy, a sneaky part of consume culture. Streaming services, gym memberships, software, even car features like heated seats. Companies increasingly lock you into recurring payments. Everything is a dang subscription service nowadays. In 2022, the average American spent $273 monthly on subscriptions, often for services that they barely use or what I'd simply call luxury items like Netflix and Hulu, and Disney and Paramount Plus and HBO, and need I go on. These costs add up, leaving less money to save or invest into things that you can truly own. And to be honest, most of this has started because the value of our dollar has just been lost. Now, banks make money off of bad financial decisions. This is where banks and credit card companies come in. Consume culture is their playground. High interest rates ensure that every purchase on credit costs more, sometimes much more, than the sticker price. In 2022, credit card companies earned $130 billion total in interest and fees. They made money off of just loaning you money. Payday loans, which target low-income consumers, charge rates as high as 400%. These industries thrive on people living beyond their means, knowing that minimum payments keep you indebted for years. The system isn't designed to help you win, it's designed to keep you paying. Stop consuming needlessly. Own things and have money, even if it's not a lot of things that you own. At least you won't be dependent on a modern-day feudal system. Let's look at an example real quick. Imagine you buy a $2,000 TV on a credit card with a 20% interest rate. If you pay the minimum, say $50 a month, it'll take over 5 years to pay off, and you'll end up spending nearly $3,300. Is the $2,000 TV worth $1,300 more than the price tag? No, obviously not. The TV's value drops to a few $100s in that time, but you're still paying for it. Multiply this across multiple purchases, and it's clear why so many people feel stuck. Banks and lenders don't care about your dreams. They care about your interest payments. But with patience, you can own things, and this brings me to my final point, the importance of striving to own things outright. Consume culture thrives because it distracts us from true ownership. When you own something, whether it's a car, a home, or even a modest piece of furniture, you have freedom. No lender can take it away. No interest payments drain your income. You're not working to enrich someone else. Ultimately, our money has just lost its value, and a house that may cost, in the 1950s in today's money, a house would have cost you like 50 or 60 grand. Okay, well maybe 50, 60 to 100 grand. You look at the average house price now, it's way, way higher than that. So there's nothing we can really do about that as regular people on our own. So I want to talk about a mindset shift. First, prioritize needs over wants. Before buying, ask, do I need this? Can I pay for it right now? Will it add lasting value? Whenever I want to buy something that I don't need, that I intrinsically know it as well, I give myself an hour or so to read reviews on it first, and about 95% of the time I end up not purchasing it anyways. Just let the immediate impulse pass by. So, basically, all you gotta do is literally nothing. Just give it an hour and most people will have simply forgotten about it, and the appeal to buy the new item that you wanted to buy has just gone away. You don't need it. If you think about this item though for a month or two straight, or even longer, okay, maybe give it a second thought then. Maybe you actually do really want it, or you actually need it. It's okay to buy things that you want, but the point of this video is excessive consumption. If you really want something, you've been wanting to buy it for 3 months and it's within your budget to do so, then go ahead and buy it. But next, anyways, second, avoid debt whenever possible. Try to save for big purchases instead of financing them. It takes longer, but trust me, it's worth it. You don't want to be that guy that went into debt for a couch. That's silly. Eventually, you will really see the value of $1. If you must borrow, which is a real reality anyways, and sometimes it's okay to borrow, like for college, for example, or for a house. Shop for low interest loans and pay them off quickly. I really like credit unions for this, as they seem to work with individuals instead and consider their whole entire picture, instead of solely looking at you like you're just a number like a bank would. Third, invest in quality over quantity. A durable pair of shoes or a reliable used car bought outright is better than a flashy purchase that chains you to payments. I have a 13-year-old Toyota with 100,000 miles. It runs great and maintenance is minimal, and it doesn't take much to fill it up. It's not flashy, but I don't care at all about impressing people I don't know who don't pay my bills. Let's talk numbers again. If you save $500 a month instead of spending it on subscriptions, credit card payments, or even a car payment because you own the car now, you'd have an extra $6,000 in a year. In 5 years, at a modest 5% investment return, that's over $33,000 you could have. 5%, that's nothing. You can put this in a Roth IRA, a 401k, or you can do a CD, a certificate of deposit. You get your money back. And it's enough for a down payment on a home or a fully paid car. Compare that to spending, $500 a month on a car lease or credit card debt where you'd have nothing to show for it. Ownership builds wealth. Consumption builds debt. Do you guys see when I crunch the numbers down that it actually is possible to live a good life? I keep my savings money in a high yield savings account, as well as putting other money into my Roth IRA and 401k to save for retirement. I don't need this money right now, and I am paying myself a huge dividend in the future. That's the thing, guys. I've noticed that wealthy people play the long game and poor people usually play the short game, which ends up harming you in the long run and leading you nowhere. Check out my video on money rules and my other video on what is a Roth IRA. It's super informative, and I would love to see you all benefit from this. It's not easy to break free from consume culture. Trust me, I get it, and I know. Society pushes us to spend, and saying no takes discipline. Start small. Cancel one subscription at a time. Cook at home instead of ordering out, or buy secondhand. Over time, these choices really do add up. Surround yourself with people who value financial independence over appearances. Read books like The Millionaire Next Door or The Psychology of Money to rethink your relationship with money. I despise consume culture because it robs people of freedom. It's a cycle of chasing fleeting status, piling up debt, and owning nothing while banks profit. But you can choose differently. Focus on what matters: security, peace of mind, and true ownership. It's not glamorous, but it's extremely powerful. I do not want to see all of you people be in modern day slavery, especially in your retirement golden years. I've said it in my past videos, but my purpose here in life is to help folks out. And if I can help you out via YouTube, I highly implore you to just take some time to read into this stuff. Alright guys, that about wraps up this video. This bubble of no one owning anything and everyone being broke and in debt with our dollar becoming meaningless has to change soon. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. We need to have this conversation, and it's hard to when people develop preconceived notions like, it's the Starbucks and avocado toast, or just pull yourself up by the bootstraps like I did. It is so much more different nowadays, and it basically all boils down to our dollar becoming weaker and weaker, and the advertisement propaganda that really hit people hard, and also our money being turned into nothing. Started with the Federal Reserve in the early 1910s, and the US getting off the gold standard in the 70s. This is a tough talk though, and it needs to change. Gen Z is the first generation where most people just feel hopeless and like no change is going to happen. What's your thoughts on consume product and get excited for next product? Drop a comment below on what you think about all this. I read all of the comments and I try to get back to every single one, and I do like to hear back from you all. As I always say, stay true to yourselves. Jimmy Talks out.